We're going to be creating a new monster today, like a universal type monster. You know, like the old movies, Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, and the Mummy. We're going to pick apart their traits that they have that make them scary, and we're going to slap them all together and make a new monster that would fit in back then. I hope that makes sense. So let me lay some ground rules first, okay? We're gonna start off with that. I have them written down, I think. If 3 of the 4 monsters share a trait, then so will our monster that we're creating today. Like let's say for instance they all had a hat on. If they all had a hat on, so would our monster. If only one of them had a gun, our monster would not have one. He would not have a gun. That's kind of how it works. Does that make sense? You'll see as we go along. Again, just bear with me, please. Uh, Now, if only 2 of them share a trait, it's going to be up to me, dealer's choice, if our monster has it. If I think it fits, then it's in. If I don't think so, then it's not in. Does that make sense? Oh, also, the version of these monsters I'm going to be using, like Dracula and stuff, they're going to just kind of be like what pop culture sees of them, not necessarily from a specific movie or book or anything, just kind of the general vibe of the monster, if you will. With that said, let's get cracking. Let's jump into it. Also, like and subscribe. Hit the little bell guy, and let's get spooky. One thing pretty much all of our monsters have in common is their lack of a heartbeat. They were all dead at some point, or they're still dead. Looking at you, Dracula. One day he was just a humble count, whatever that is, and then the next day he's a vampire. What turned him into a vampire? Satan? Maybe. I think I'm gonna go with Satan. I think Satan turned him into a vampire. Regardless, he does not have a heartbeat. We'll chalk that up to undead. That's 1 point for undead. Now the Wolfman is a different case. As far as I'm aware, he's not actually dead at any point. What? You know, other than that point. But at that point, he's not really the Wolfman anymore, right? It doesn't count. The Mummy might as well just be a well-educated zombie. He's just a big old dead guy walking around in toilet paper. So that's 2. Can we go for 3? Frankenstein's monster is a little different. I don't think he's considered undead. I think because he's a bunch of body parts that got put back together, but I'm gonna count that as dead at some point because obviously our monster will be dead or undead or whatever. Frankenstein's monster sealed the deal on that one. So that's one. That's one little trait we got. Drop it in the bucket. Now onto the abilities of the monster. All of our monsters we're talking about today do have special abilities. Let's take a little look. We're going to talk about the Mummy first this time for this section. I don't really know a lot about him, to be honest, off the top of my head. I actually had to look it up. The internet says general consensus that the Mummy has like super strength, invulnerability, and sometimes kind of mind control. He also has sand abilities sometimes. Frankenstein's monster, he's invulnerable and he's really strong. He also sometimes has lightning powers. That's not very common, but to make things more fun, I'm going to just say he does. So that's 2 for strength now and 2 for invulnerability. Now the Wolfman's pretty cool because sometimes when they're in their human form, they do get powers like super strength, which that's 3 for super strength, so it's going on the monster, but I'll just say it now, Dracula also has super strength. His other ability that he has is super healing. You can definitely fuck him up pretty bad, but he will heal from it eventually. And biting people, making them have powers, I'm gonna put that on there. Biting people to make them into a monster, or not even biting them necessarily, just being able to turn a normal human into one of whatever you are. That's a power. You probably know a lot about Dracula, I'm sure. Let me just list off all the powers that I can think of at the moment really quick. He's got like invisibility, I think sometimes. He can fly, he can transform. I think he has mind control actually, too. He's got super healing. I think he's impervious to a decent amount of attacks. Not gonna call him invulnerable though, because I know you could definitely give him a little. Ugh. So, I almost called him Superman. Yep, Superman. He bites people. I'll just start off by saying that gives us 3 for unique abilities because none of the other ones can fucking fly. Another one for being able to turn people into your monster. Hey! Hey, yo! What the fuck? Anyway, I think I finished the abilities section, so this is where we stand. Now we're going to talk about monster weaknesses, because every good monster has a weakness. Because if it literally cannot die in any way, shape, or form, it would be Jason. The Wolfman has a pretty good chunk of things that can kill him, like shiny metal, like a flower. Also, you can just kind of like kill a werewolf if you fuck it up. If you like cut off its head, I think it just dies. It doesn't just recover from that. Again, with the mummy, I did not know off the top of my head what hurts it. I don't know enough about him, apparently. I just don't. Fire is what hurts the mummy. I didn't know that. And cats. Well, they don't hurt him. He's just scared of them. At least according to Brendan Fraser, and I would trust him with my life. So, Dracula. For as many powers as Dracula has, he's got like just as many weaknesses, which is that sucks. He's weak to garlic, holy water, anything religious, really, vitamin D, sometimes silver too, like our friend the werewolf. So that's 2 for silver. At least one unique weakness, obviously, because who the fuck else is weak to garlic? My favorite weakness of him is his inability to be a home intruder. He's very polite, but the best way to kill a vampire is a stake to the heart, because heart disease is the biggest killer in the United States. Although he does live in Transylvania, so he's probably going to be okay. And we just got Frankenstein's monster left, and he is weak to, I have it on my computer here, fire. Just fire. I think he's more scared of it too. I don't know if it actually kills him. That's 2 for fire. Since pretty much all of them have at least 2 weaknesses, our monster's going to have at least 2 weaknesses as well. Now we're going to talk about intelligence of our monsters. We're going on a trip in our favorite rocket ship. It's kind of a mixed bag, I gotta be honest. We got the mummy, who I think is just like human intelligence, right? Yeah. And then you got the wolf man, who's below intelligence because he's got like the mind of an animal, stupid. Dracula is also average to above average. He's not like a super genius or anything, but he's just a dude. He's just mad chilling. And then for Frankenstein's monster in the movie, as far as I know, he's like a baby. He doesn't really have a lot. He's just like I'm breaking things. Anyway, I think as far as the movie goes and as far as pop culture goes, he's seen as kind of stupid. He's just a big old dummy. 2 average to above average and then 2 below average. So we'll see at the end of the video, you know what I'm saying? Stick around for that. Now we're going to talk about lore. Somebody once told me the world is gonna Dracula, his lore is actually pretty important because, as you can see here, I'm calling him Dracula, not vampire. So it is pretty important to his overall essence. So we're just going to go ahead and give that 1 for important on the lore section. The mummy, as far as I perceive him, is not as important. He's some guy that was in ancient Egypt that died and came back to do something. I don't. So we're gonna go with not important. The Wolfman. Once again, I don't think it's super important. Do you know the Wolfman's original name? Probably not. I mean, I do, but that's because I watch Dead Meat. I don't think it's very important to have the lore attached to the character. So we're gonna go. That's 1 for important, 2 for not important. And then Frankenstein's monster, obviously important. Arguably the most important. Because the other ones, it's like, the vampire is a creature that could exist in many forms. The werewolf also, and a mummy. The mummies are real, technically. They just don't walk around. Those are all things that could exist in different forms. But Frankenstein's monster, whenever that's in a story, it's called Frankenstein's monster. It is important. I would say the lore is so important to the character, and that's why people literally call the monster itself Frankenstein. Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, and the Mummy, because it's so wrapped up. They don't even know. They don't even know. 2 for important and 2 for non-important. Okay, yeah. Let's move along. Okay. So now we're gonna do another section that I initially wasn't even gonna do, but we're gonna talk appearance. What are some physical traits that they share? Dracula and the Wolfman, they both have pointy teeth. 2 people that have pointy teeth. Pretty much all of them have clothes on to some extent, so our monster will not be naked, unfortunately. Frankenstein and the mummy both look dead and or mutilated for the most part. So that's 2 for that, I guess. Now we're going to go into the end section of our video. I'm going to wrap it up here. We're going to make a little monster together, a little sneaky guy. My goal here is to make something that you could see being a movie from like the 30s. So hopefully I do that. Let me know if you think I did a good job. And I'm going to run it really quick. Okay, the majority of them were undead or dead at some point. So our monster, dead, undead. Now we're on to abilities. Here's what I got for that. So he's gonna have super strength. That much is clear. They literally all have super strength. I'm also gonna give him super healing because Dracula and the Wolfman both had it, and I just think it just makes sense. He's also got that, okay? Another Dracula and Wolfman combo, he's gonna be able to turn people into whatever he is. He's starting to look a little similar to Dracula, I'm not gonna lie to you, but he's gonna have some differences, okay? It's not gonna just be a Dracula clone. I'm not gonna give him invulnerability. I just don't like that. So his special ability is actually what's going to make him the most unique. This is what I came up with. This is my gimmick for the monster, by the way. He puts his DNA into his victim's body in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't really matter. Whatever he wants to do, he has to be very creative. The longer it's in them, the more of their life force is sucked away into him. Yeah? You with me so far? Okay. For a quick soul suck, he'll put his nails and break them off. He can do that. And they're pretty hard to get out because any body part he does inject into them, it kind of latches on. So it's really not easy to get out of you. That's how he heals if he's injured, but it's also what keeps him alive. The way that he turns someone else into a creature like him is he actually gets some of their DNA inside of himself. So the opposite, and lets them absorb some of his essence, basically. A monster's also going to have mind control because the mummy can do that and Dracula pretty sure can do that. I don't think I mentioned that earlier, but I'm pretty sure Dracula can do that. The way that he does that, if he puts enough DNA near their brain. Another ability I'm going to throw onto our little fella here, if it is near you within a certain proximity, your body temperature will drop pretty drastically. You're going to feel really cold, sluggish, slow. I know what you're thinking. Shouldn't the whole DNA swap thing actually be opposite? Like he eats some of their DNA and slowly sucks away their soul and vice versa to get his like abilities and stuff? No. And I'll tell you why. One, because I just like it this way. And two, this forces our monster to be more creative and sneaky as opposed to just brutal and like assault them. Our monster is going to have two major weaknesses based on what we learned today. I'm also going to give it some minor weaknesses, kind of like garlic or wolfsbane. It's not going to like kill him or anything, but it's going to slow him down. I'm going to go ahead and just say the whole fire thing with Frankenstein's monster and the mummy, that's applies. That applies to our monster. He is very weak to fire. If you have a flamethrower, it's going to kill him just like it does everything else that it touches. I'm also going to say that warm weather is one of the minor weaknesses for him. That's not it. Fucking bitch, dude. Oh, you bastard, man. I hate you. And his other weakness is gonna be, drumroll please, guns. I'm just kidding. Obviously, that would be so lame if your monster just died to guns immediately. Like, he is still gonna take damage from guns though, so stay strapped. It's actually gonna be electricity. Because I couldn't think of anything else. If you can think of something better, put it in the comments or just yell it out the window. I'll probably hear it. And I'm gonna give him silver too. I think he's gonna be weak to silver. Like maybe that negates his sucking powers or something. I don't. As for intelligence, he's gonna be a smart little cookie. I'm gonna just make him slightly above average intelligence. He's still just kind of like a guy. And now we're going on to lore. It's gonna be relatively important at the very least. I'm gonna read it off my phone. I have a quick little like summary of it. Since most of these stories we talked about today took place in like the late 1800s, early 1900s, we're gonna stick with that era. Let's just say like 1902. That's the time period that his story kind of takes place in. Bartholomew Beckham is our monster's name, so it is just a fellow. That's a silly, old timey sounding name, at least to me. We're gonna take a page out of the Wolfman's book. He was cursed by like a witch or something like that to become this creature. If he doesn't feed on people's souls frequently enough, he will start to decay because he is dead. So he's going to start to look more and more, I guess, effectively like a zombie. And by doing this, he became quite wealthy because he stole a whole lot of shit from all the people he killed. Bartholomew owns an inn. He uses this to lure victims in. Yeah, that's how he gets his victims most of the time. He's an inn owner. He owns a little hotel type thing. People have to stay somewhere when they're out of town, preferably in his little village. He lives in a little village, by the way. I didn't say that. Back in 1902, if you disappeared on a trip, it's like, well, fuck, he's just gone. He's probably dead. I don't know. We're not gonna figure it out. So it was the perfect crime because people from out of town would stay there. He'd come up, wouldn't get caught. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. One of his main ways of poisoning people is putting a little bit of hair in their food that he serves them at the inn. They ingest it, it latches itself in, and they slowly die over a couple days, having no idea what's going on. They just feel sick. He has a basement that no one's allowed in. He keeps people down there and puts a little bit of his DNA in them. He keeps them prisoner. That way, he's got like a whole stash of people to soul set. Bartholomew is a kind of a jerk. Yeah, that's it for lore. We're gonna move on to appearance, and that's gonna be it. And then I'll show you what he looks like if I actually draw this thing. The one telltale sign of this creature, if you're just like out and about in the world, black fingernails. But I'm not one though. It should be clear. I just happened to paint them recently. Definitely did not give me the idea for this part of the creature's design. Now Dracula's got his fangs. He's got his little silly fingernails. Average clothes, just pretty nice, pretty chill and nice. Well respected in the town too. I might add. That's not really appearance, but he is. He's well respected in his little town. I didn't even say where he lives. I don't even know. He's somewhere in the Midwest in America. If he has not sucked a soul in a little while, he looks very zombie-like. His nails get more decrepit, kind of to like help him attack victims easier because he's so desperate for sustenance. And that's when his teeth get pointy too. He's got like teeth. I wouldn't call it an ability necessarily, but that's like a trait that he has when he's in hungry mode. Basically, he's longer nails on his hands and feet, longer little teeth. We're done. That's the situation. That's what our monster's got going on. I'm gonna show you what he looks like. I haven't actually drawn it yet, but I will draw it sometime after this. And that's him. That's what I came up with. And maybe I didn't draw it. Maybe I found a photo that just looks kind of like what I'm talking about. He just looks kind of like a dude, so the photo's not really that important. Get that out of here. Um, and then here's this. That's probably maybe what he should look like when he's in his little hungry zombie mode form, kind of. Maybe. I'm not a very good artist, so if I drew that, I don't know if I did. I apologize. And there you have it. That's our little monster. That's our silly little friend. I didn't come up with a name for it. I don't have like a name for the creature, like how Dracula's a vampire, where the Wolfman's a werewolf. I'll think of something. I'm not gonna record my saying it. I don't know. This is the name that I came up with.
Sanguisuga. Sanguisuga.
That's what these creatures are called. So if there was more of them running around, that's what it would be. That's the end of our video. Did you like our little guy here? He's pretty cool. Can you imagine our little guy here being in a... Exactly. Exactly. Thank you. I appreciate your input. Can you imagine our guy, a little fellow here being in a movie in like the 1900s? 1900. That's a weird way to say that. The early 1900s, like 1930. When did Dracula come out? Like and subscribe. Hit that little bell. That is a threat because while October is coming to an end, November is right around the corner. Goodbye.